Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I think I've given 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and just a quick introduction. My name is Deepak, and I lead the customer engineering team for Google Cloud. And when I say customer engineering, we have a different verticals, and I lead the security part of customer engineering team. I've got Gaurav with me. Gaurav is a networking specialist. I don't know how many of you know and use Google Cloud, but we both are customer-facing people, and we are glad to talk about security in Google Cloud to all of you. How do we get to the... All right, so most of you know Google because of the services that we all have been using as a consumer of Google services. Google Search, Map, Google Drive, and many of the services. But how many of you know that the Google is also a very, very well organized company who's into our infrastructure services, and Google Cloud is such a premier infrastructure services that we offer to our customer. And we'll be spending a few minutes to talk about, when we get to the next slide. Can someone tell me how do I get to the next slide? Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Let me just start over. How do I get to, can someone please fix this up for me, if you don't mind? Oh, okay. So how do I go back? This doesn't work. This go back is not working. Yeah, sorry about that. So can we go to the next slide? So I want to talk about a little bit about the Google Cloud security, but before we get to a Google Cloud security, if you look at it the way that we have organized our infrastructure services, we have done this in 5 clouds, we call it. Modern infrastructure, developer cloud, data cloud, security cloud, and collaboration cloud. And each of these services, from a strategy perspective, what we have done is, we are empowering all these cloud services using our global infrastructure. Google has to build a massive planet-scale infrastructure to host our own consumer services. And we believe that by offering this infrastructure to our customers, they can get the same scale, same agility, reliability, and security, what we get for our own business. So global infrastructure is underpinning these 5 cloud services that we offer, our portfolio of cloud services that we offer. And the other thing what we have done, and I would say that being a leader in AI, what we have done is that we have actually infused and empower all of these cloud services with our AI capabilities. So Google has been known as an AI company. We have been using AI for over a decade now. If you know about the transformer that was invented by the white paper that the Google researchers have written in 2017, and that's actually brought in the idea of reasoning within the AI space. And what we have done is that we have actually infused the AI capability in each of these services. So if you use our modern infrastructure, for example, if you bring in your containerized workload or your compute services to Google Cloud, you will see that these services are empowered by our AI capabilities. So you could get the advantage of looking at how you can optimize your containerized services, and it also gives you a recommendation that you need to do it. So all these are powered by AI in that sense. Similarly, in the data space, and I will be obviously talking about security in cloud, but I just want to give a Gaurav a moment to talk about a global infrastructure, which is one of the key capability that what we offer as part of our services. So Gaurav, you want to talk about global infrastructure?
Sure. Thank you. So I think as Deepak was saying, from an infrastructure point of view, before Google Cloud, we are Google, which means there are billion user products that we have been managing for very long, be it cloud, be it maps, Gmail, Drive, photos. And hence it is our primary responsibility to protect the infrastructure which is serving those billion user products and then come to the cloud. And hence this bottom layer, infrastructure, becomes the most important layer. Now, in a layman term, infrastructure, compute, storage, network. That's what anyone will guess. And hence it is important for us to start looking at securing that infrastructure. How do we secure our compute, storage, and network? Now, you would be surprised to know that the investments that we have done in infrastructure is massive, which means if I have to put some numbers to that, roughly 30% of entire global internet traffic flows through us. We are not a service provider by any means, but still we cater to roughly 30% of entire world internet traffic. And hence that much massive traffic flowing through us, we need to be secured. So we are also talking about how do we secure ourselves before we kind of secure the customers who land onto Google Cloud. And hence think of an example if, I mean, this is a very buzzword these days that an organization was DDoSed or the infrastructure was attacked, right? If we have to protect that customer who is on Google Cloud, we have to ensure that Google infrastructure is first scaled up to absorb those attacks before we kind of go and protect our customers. And hence from a security point of view, I always like to kind of mention this word, it's a shared fate. By shared fate means we give you enough handles, we give you enough things in your hand to kind of go and think of how you want to secure yourself. In security of infrastructure, we always talk of three things. Always start thinking of who can access what and can do what on your resource. So if you have something on the cloud and you believe that being on the cloud, everything is secured, that's not true. We have to start thinking from very basic, saying that who can access my application, what can he do, and on what resource can he do that. As long as we are trying to figure out these three things, we have the answers. It is like saying we are making a building and we are setting the foundations very correct from day one. Most of the heavy duty security conversations that we do, we kind of come to know that the foundations were sometimes not that accurate, and hence a attacker used that as an opportunity to land somewhere, and hence it was compromised, etc. From a cloud, I always say it's a shared fate. There are enough handles in the cloud, in Google Cloud, which you can make use to secure yourself in the cloud, but those handles needs to be explored and deployed appropriately. I mean, if you talk of services, there are plethora of services, and I don't want to invest time in this Augustus forum to kind of talk about these services. It will be foolish of me to talk of services, but there are enough services. We need to figure out what service do we use to secure what part of the infrastructure. VM, storage, Kubernetes, etc. comes second level, and then we kind of talk about security. But think of that it is who can do what on which resource is something that you need to be cognizant of.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. So from a strategy perspective, Google is offering this world-class global infrastructure across all our cloud. We also have AI infused, empowering all of these cloud services, and I'm going to be dwelling a little more about the security in cloud. So if you go to the next slide. So when we talk about security cloud, Google is driven by the vision to provide the most trusted cloud to a customer. And when we say a trusted cloud, what do we mean by that? We are not saying it just something, just the sake of it. We say a trusted cloud because we give you the control that you can verify yourself. For example, we say that we are going to encrypt. So that encryption is not a default turn on. It is embedded in our cloud infrastructure that you cannot even disable it. Similarly, transparency is the another thing which comes very critical factor when it talk about trust, in the cloud. And we are very transparent about the way we handle the customer data, the way that we do the encryption, and the way we give you the control of managing your own data. And we have written white papers about it. So we believe that we offer the most trusted cloud to our customers. And if you go to the next slide, how do we do a security in our cloud? And I think it's a very, very important slide. We have done a lot of groundwork to say that, what are the three things which are key ingredient for a security for any organization. And we believe that the very first pillar that what every organization should have is the modern infrastructure. Because if you are running your application on a patchy infrastructure, which needs a lot of work to be done to make it secure in terms of vulnerabilities, then obviously you're not on a very solid foundation. We believe that we offer our customer an infrastructure where you do not need to patch it. You will not see a Google is in the news because of some attack has happened or its infrastructure is down. And that's the modern infrastructure that we offer our customers, where you don't need to patch it. There are obviously no known vulnerabilities. If there are one, then we take care of it ourselves without affecting your workload. And the second thing is the foundational control. I think we talk about a lot of security controls. We have seen customers using plethora of security controls, but then we don't configure these controls very well. And that's why we believe that the foundation, going into the basics of doing a security is very, very important. And we enable these foundation controls for you in our cloud. And the third thing is security with intelligence. So Intel-led security. Given that there are plethora of these threat vectors out there, you cannot protect yourself from all of these threats. But you need to be knowing that, what is important to me, what matters most to my workload, and what are the threats that I need to protect against those. And that's very, very important, that what control I need to enable becomes very important. So there are 3 ingredients for security for any organizations in our perspective. If you go to the next slide. So how do we do it? So as Gaurav was saying, that we are actually not known to be a security company, but we keep more people safer than anybody in the world today. Look at it, the scale that we operate in. We got many applications with billions of users. If I start with phishing attack, there is in Google Gmail about 2.5 billion users base that we have it. About 100 billion attempt is being protected from the phishing attack to a customer. So that means that straight away, the phishing is being taken care if the customers are using our mail services. If you look at it, the malware is another attack vector that we have seen, which is increasingly becoming a core a problem for every organizations to deal with. What we have done is that to take care of the malware as a whole, instead of giving a point solution, we embedded this technology called Google Safe Browsing, which is a plugin which is all the major browsers uses today. And with the Google Safe Browsing, what you get? A protection from all the way from them, getting into those sites which can download the malware. So that way, the billions of users who uses our Chrome browser and the Chrome Android devices, they get protection from the phishing attack and from the malware attack straight away. The other area where we have seen the customers facing a lot of issues when it comes to attack is the DDoS attacks. We have seen massive amount of DDoS attacks happening to critical infrastructures, to sites which are doing social, they are into our news agencies and people who are into journalism. And what we have done is that we are offering a DDoS services for them where they can get the DDoS protection by free of cost without paying anything to Google by just using our service called Project Shield. So that way we are making sure that the DDoS, the malware and ransomware attack kind of issues is being taken care across the board. And very, very importantly, if you look at it, one thing which is we have all come across is the ransomware. Google has built an operating system called Chrome operating system. Till date, if you click on the next slide, till date, there is no ransomware attack is being reported on Chromium-based operating system or Chrome OS. So look at it, these 4 major areas where we see a lot of threats coming in and the scale that we are operating in to solve for these problems and creating a safe environment for the users in the online space. If you go to the next slide, Google is also a leader in threat intel. And the way that we have done a threat intel, we have consolidated the intelligence that what we get from Mandiant, which is a frontline consulting organizations who are into incident responses. So anytime you see there are major attack has happened, Mandiant would be there in that environment. We get the threat intel from our researcher. We also bring in the vast amount of a malware and the signature database that we have built through VirusTotal. And we also bring in Google's own threat intel because of the device, because of the user base that we operate in. And we plug all of these together and create a threat intelligent grid, we call it. And that empowers, along with the AI, to all the offerings that we offer in security space. And if you go to the next slide. So how we are doing, now we have spoken about Google infrastructure. We have spoken about how Google is operating on a scale where we are empowering billions of users, thousands of customers, making them secure the way we keep ourselves secure. But we have gone one step ahead. If you go to the next slide, and I want to talk about remaining 1.5 minutes that I've got here, this is something which is groundbreaking. This is something we launched where we have came up with the idea of creating a foundation model which is built on security use cases. So think about what is the important thing you need. If you remember my 3rd pillar, right? The security has to be intelligent-led. I want to make sure that when I'm securing my organization, I'm securing against the threat which are happening or which I see is going to impact my organization. So to help customers to get to a better threat-led security, we have built something called SecPalm. And with the SecPalm, the advancement, what we have is the latest foundational frontier model that we have built, we call it SecLM. So it's a large language model which is built on a threat intelligence database. And this threat intelligence database is coming from not only the threat intel that what Google knows about, but also from the industry other sources as well. Whether it's the OSS vulnerabilities, which is we all uses, whether it's a security GitHub where we see a lot of code bases being used very widely and the MITRE framework. So we have brought in all the relevant threat intelligent data, consolidated that as part of an AI workbench. And this is built on a foundation, what the Google infrastructure is offering to a customer, which has got a built-in security. So with the infrastructure, on top of a frontier foundation model with the threat intel, what Google and the other industry providers are offering, we're able to give you an inference out of it to help you with your threat detection. And we are also empowering the same technology with the services like Chronicle and Security Command Center. And I'll be talking about in panel discussion, how Chronicle is a groundbreaking technology which is actually helping to modernize your security operation with the threat intelligence which is empowered by the security AI workbench that we have created. So with this, all we are trying to do here is that we are bringing the best of Google infrastructure. We are bringing best of Google intelligence, that what we have gathered and what we know about, and we are consolidating that as to an AI platform, which can not only empower our own product and services that we are offering to our customer, but our partners and consumers of those services can also get the advantage of. So with that, I'm gonna, because it's just time's up, but thank you so much for your attention, and we look forward for your panel discussion.